Hello, everybody. So, what happens when you are told that you can't do anything? Do you usually go, "Ah, okay, I can't do it. I'll just follow the path that I'm supposed to, or what other people say I should do? Or do you say, well, really? Really? You telling me I can't do that? Watch this space. Well, my beautiful guest today, Susan Abend, did just that a few years ago. Well, a couple of years ago, but that doesn't matter. You let's just sit down, put your earbuds on, or do whatever it is. But this is an episode you don't want to miss. Hello, Susan. How are you today?
I'm good, Carina. Thank you. And you?
I'm very well, thank you. Well, in my intro, I didn't say much about what we're going to talk about, but that just adds to the intrigue, right? Tell us, Susan, a bit about who you are and how you got to this point in your life doing what you do. I know it's a long question.
And it's a long time. No, I was born and raised on a farm, a cattle, swine, and crop farm. My father was a farmer. I come from two farm families of the South, living in Florida. That's always a challenge anyway, farming. And early in school, I was told that you have a high agriculture grade, so you're going to have to be a housewife or a secretary. You're not college material. Well, that falls right there. Yeah. Okay. I'll show you.
I love that. I love that.
So I focused all through school. That didn't slow me down. And time I got to high school, I enjoyed school, learning.
Yes.
Learning
Yes.
was very good. So I would go to summer school, not because I had to, because I wanted to.
I love that too. Sounds like something I do.
I'd get upset if they said you couldn't go because other students needed it. Well, my parents were very promotional of education, giving us a way to survive.
Yes,
They told us, we'll teach you how to survive. Now, what you do with it is on your own. You need an education and you need to go out and see the world. You need to get away from here.
yes.
And this is kind of humorous, but coming from a family that's been in the area for 100 years, it was be careful who you marry if you marry somebody here because it might be your cousin.
That is so funny because people joke about that all the time. So the thing is that it actually is a thing because your family is so widespread, right?
Yes. Yes. I had more grandmothers and grandfathers that weren't actually immediate family, aunts and uncles that as you grow older, it's like, wow, they're really not kin to me. They're my cousins. But anyway, time I got out of high school, I went off to college. I was majoring in art and mainly clothing design and merchandising.
Nice.
Well, here I was focused, Yeah, I'm going to make it. Boom. Got laid off in the 70s. That's when they brought the retired worker back at a lesser age. Well, it wasn't like it is now.
Yes,
there wasn't unemployment. There wasn't none of that. So you had to do what you had to do. So I did various things and I came back home for a couple months. And one night my father was talking with me. I mean, it was just one of those father-daughter talks. You got to get a job. I know there's no jobs here. What do you want me to do? He goes, go fishing with your cousins. At least you'll eat. Well, that day, that's what I did. Here we go. We shifted. Now we're in the marine industry. Commercial. That was when I was 19 going on 20.
So why did you choose the marine industry?
Because like my father had said, you have to eat. What am I supposed to do? Go fishing with your cousins. I have part of his family were shrimpers out of
yes. Okay.
So it was just it was kind of one of those, I'll show you, I'll do that. Well, in the meantime, I had an older brother. I had a brother 4 years older than I. He was killed in a military accident.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm only 19 years old. He was 24. So it was a big slap against my face because we grew up as a very tight family, tight family.
Yes, yes.
So obviously, as I'm going through my new career, you make bad decisions. Well, you get over them and move on. You realize one day, okay, pull the big girl pants up.
Yeah, right.
Well, as that was occurring, my health also went.
Oh.
And I ended up not being able to have children. Well, that was an okay thing. I was able to deal with that. It's kind of like a being or a previous life had said I wasn't going to have children. I was prepared for it. As a small child, my brother always said he was going to have 12. And I was
great aunt, right?
So, yes, it messed with my head. I will admit, it did mess with my head, but I got over it. Well, keep going through, moving along. I ended up later, probably about 5-6 years later, getting my captain's license. I was a 100-ton licensed captain, pleasure boat captain for 30 years.
Nice.
So it kept me away from the draws that most people have to the fast food, to the television, to the movies, because it wasn't available.
Yes, yes.
For years, I took a picture of every sunset. I had thousands of sunsets.
Wow.
Because it was when your day begins with the sunrise. That's the new beginning.
Yes.
Your day ends with the sunset. That's the end of that until next. So it kind of imprinted. Well, make a long story short, we'll skip some years there, but I ended up marrying. My husband was a millwright. I was a boat captain. So we both worked different continents many times. And I laughed. We used to laugh going, well, that's why we stayed married. We didn't have problems for 35 years because.
So when you came together, there was just fire, right?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, after about 10 years, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. So we went on a 25-year journey. Well, during that journey, there was a lot of learning for both of us. And he was my mentor and teacher, so to speak, of where I'm at today.
Yes.
Of appreciating what you have, make the best of it. Yes. You get knocked down, but you can always stand up.
Yes, yes.
Well, in the meantime, my father had passed away, so that left my mother. Yes. Well, being an only child now, it's like, okay, mom's priority. Yes. So she did good. 2009, I want to say, she asked me to come home. So we sold everything. I got out of all my little stuff I was involved in, had a marine school, had a boating supply store. I sat on the local port authority. I was port captain for 15 years. You know, all kinds of little, volunteered with the Red Cross, was a Red Cross employee. I mean, United, you know, all kinds of stuff.
It's beautiful. I'd just like to interject there in a moment and just say how you broke all those rules and all those negative beliefs that they said, you're a woman, go and get married or be a secretary or be a teacher or whatever. So I commend you for that. That is beautiful, because considering in the 70s, it was hard during that time to break out as an empowered woman. So that says a lot already. Okay, sorry. Just had to interject. Continue the story.
Okay. So when I came back, my husband, needless to say, we were at the 20-something year Parkinson's.
Wow.
He had the brain stimulator put in. We went through all that. Me being the individual, as I asked his nurse, got a technical manual? So I read them. Right. We used to go to support groups and stuff, and if the neurosurgeon was there, he'd look at me and he'd go, well, what about this? Okay, what about that?
I love it. I love it. It's just also so appropriate that you now in Mark's group, right? With Mark coming up with all the new things that he's testing out. Okay.
And it's interesting because a lot of this stuff I've been doing for years. When I graduated high school, my parents gave me a book, Jethro Kloss, Back to Eden. And I'm not sure if you're familiar that he was from the 1800s. He's the one that started the salt baths and all that, the salt rubs, and anyway, natural healing stuff. But anyway, needless to say, 2015, my husband passed away. He had a good journey, and we had a good ending.
Yes, yes.
Well, Mom, she was now 90 years old.
Wow.
The one thing that we always dread as children is when we have an elderly parent, am I going to have to take their driver's license away?
Yes, yes.
I come in one day. She goes, I'm done driving.
Wow.
In the meantime, during all these years, I kept up my education.
Yes.
When I was 58 years old, I got my degree in gerontology and healthcare administration.
Nice.
Because I knew I had to navigate the system.
Yeah, yes.
I have two of them. So Mom did good for years, and it was the two of us. And then in 19, she was exposed to some kind of respiratory, and her health started going down.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a deal. In 2017, she had to change doctors. Her present doctor was retired and whatever. And we went to this new doctor. And here this little old lady with a walker. She looks at him. He asks how she is. She goes, I'm fine. He goes, why are you here today? Because the insurance said I had to.
I love that.
She read him the riot act. I don't want to be poked, propped, or let you figure out why I am 90-something years old. I'm not taking medication. I'm done with you people. I'm old.
I love it. I love it.
I'm deaf. I'm going blind. But that's okay. I've lived a good life. So he looked at me and he said, okay, because I had somewhat of a reputation at that time, because working with various elders in the community, coming from here, a lot of people my age or near my age with their aging parents, I would do kind of like a daycare, but it was more patient advocacy. I would go in and spend X amount of hours a week with them. It might be doing shopping. It might be helping with bathing. It might be cleaning the house. It might just be hanging out.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow, yes.
Well, Mom was my 25th. That's kind of how I figure I ended that career, because now I'm on another thing. But earlier this year, we're in 23 now, January 22, she looked at me and she goes, I'm going to die soon. I need you to stay home. Okay. Boom. I shut down everything. That's why I disappeared, kind of, off the radar totally, because Mom was my focus. Well, we went through everything. We did all natural healing. We did our herbs. We did our superfoods. We had our teas. We took care of everything. She had good health up to the end. About 2 weeks before she passed, she looked at me and she goes, you know where your father's working? I'm like, okay, Dad passed the end of 91. Is she coherent or has the mind slipped all the way? I said, well, who's my dad? Oh, that was the wrong question, because she was coherent. She was fully aware. So I realized, okay, I got to pay attention. We carried on, and then I turned her room into like a little apartment.
Yes.
We had reversed day and night. They tell you don't do that. It worked well. Mom
Yes.
would sleep during the day and I could come out and work, or if I needed to go somewhere, she'd be sleeping.
Yes. Yes.
At night, she'd get up after our supper, she'd stay up and watch TV. She had her little headset because she was deaf. Decibels, you know. And I would crawl in her bed and go to sleep. I got
Yes.
my sleep. Her TV didn't bother me. She had headset.
That was perfect.
Yes. And one day, I was fixing supper, or I came out to feed the goats, whatever, came in. She was talking. And, you know, at times things just kind of rub you. And I'm thinking to myself, will she ever be quiet? You know, I wouldn't say anything, just be quiet. Then all of a sudden, she started calling names of deceased.
Oh, wow.
48 hours non-stop to
Wow.
the deceased. She would have me fix tea. She'd go make some tea for Miss Such and Such. Take Mr. Such and Such home. Make sure you thank such and such for bringing this by. If I wouldn't have known through my life who these people were, it would have been different. But I recognized names, even some of the names of she brought about her family. And I always knew that she would have, I've always said, an interesting send-off when she left. Because her parents, her mother died like in March and her father the end of October. And when he died, he had the nurses get him up and take him to the window. He called out to my grandmother and said, "I'm coming home." Boom.
Oh, wow. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful, actually.
Well, we're now into the end. During her talk at one time, she's telling them, I'm 154 years old. And I still haven't figured out who that individual, who her previous life was that was 154 years old. I'm not sure. But the night, you can see she was going downhill. And the night before, she looked at me after supper and said, "What time's your dad going to be here?" Daybreak. She gets up out of bed. She never complained about pain. I made salves and stuff for her, kept her skin in good shape. She could still take care of her basic hygiene. I wouldn't let her walk. We had a chair, or she had to use the setup in her room.
Yes, yes.
Because I didn't want her falling.
Yes, yes.
And she got up out of that. She got in that chair. We put her feet up. And about 4 o'clock in the morning, she goes, "Isn't it time for your dad to come?" I said, "Just about." She goes, "Well, take me out to the driveway." Well, we have these massive oak trees. They're 80 years old. My father built the house for her in 1948.
Wow. Okay. Yes, yes.
So they did all the landscaping, all that through the years. So we have these massive 4 and 5 foot across oak trees. She had me take her out to her favorite flower bed, an oak tree, and looked at me and said, "Thank you for taking care of me. I love you." Boom. Wow. And it was like, wow.
Wow.
I didn't have emotions. I had emotions, but I didn't have emotions.
Yes.
It was like, I did it. I fulfilled her last earthly wish. And
it is.
As I've gone on, now my business, I've continued with the farming operation. It's little now. It's only 19 acres. I do natural grown vegetables, small crop and stuff. And I raise meat goats. but I'm looking at sharing more through writing or whatever of these various obstacles that I've overcome to help other people. You can get a slap in the face. Yeah, it hurts, but you can get up and move on. We all get them, and it's how we move it. And what I find interesting is I really surprised myself this holiday season. There's been people I call divorced. I divorced out of my life, toxic. Well, I attended several gatherings. I'm not a big social person to start with, but I attended several gatherings, and a comment came back to me, man, you can work the room. And I thought to myself, that was a compliment, because I could have been a real bear and thrown some nasties, but what good's it going to get me? I'm here to spread good, not evil. But the biggest out of the whole thing, the hardest one on me, was back in September. My diaper mate passed away unexpectedly. And that got me. That took me down for a few months. And when I say took me down, it just had my head all messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're the same age. His parents were my second parents.
Oh, okay.
Classified it as that as my second mom and dad.
Wow.
That's the only person that really knew me after my mom.
Yes.
Since I was a little child. That knew all my secrets of how I would get out of doing things, how that's where I'm at today, and what I'm looking at, that we can all break out of this, and we have to work together to do it, because not everybody has the ability to see beyond the situation.
Yes, Susan, I agree. And I love your story, how you've just come out and you've just rolled with it and come out beautiful and learned from it. And it must have been really hard just negotiating all that time with your husband. And yet it must have been such a beautiful growth period as well for both of you. And also with your mother, and actually having that send off, that is like the most beautiful thing ever. And knowing that she was safe and knowing that everything was right, and that makes it even more beautiful. And I have to say that, so people will say, yeah, how could you not feel emotion, or how could you not cry for your mother? And I have to go back to when my grandmother passed, and her and I were also very close. And it's so funny that at the funeral, when we had the funeral, it wasn't like heavy or sad. It was like almost she was there saying, hey, come on, you need to celebrate my life. And it was that happy, bubbly, almost excited feeling after that. And I've never really, it's very difficult to express that and to admit it because of society, right?
Yes.
And what society deems is the correct approach. So I can understand that, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So what are you doing now? Because I know, so you've gone in now. You're obviously living in the house, right? In your farmhouse.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I will be moving out, and that is only because that was mom and dad's house, and it is aging. A lot of work needs to be done on it.
Yeah.
You figure he built it in 1948 out of heart of pine.
Wow.
So in Florida, the termites hold hands, and eventually they're going to quit holding hands.
That is a very interesting visual.
But it's pretty true.
And the house starts to.
Well, and I look at that from some of the old barns. When we took them down, as we took the tar paper, the black paper off the sides, you had the little trails. And I can only imagine with the house, when the asbestos siding comes off, what's really there.
Yes.
And it's one that I had told her she wanted me to have a new place of my own.
Yes.
Because that was her house.
Yes.
So I'm in the process, but dealing with all the building stuff, it's hard to get anything done. I'm in the middle of a construction boom here where I'm at. Major construction boom of warehousing.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's why I'm looking at the other piece with my farming. I'm working with microgreens now, my first crop, trying to see how it works out. A big learning curve, but it takes out with everything. And looking at possibly lunchrooms. When I say lunchrooms, we're talking million square foot warehousing.
Oh.
Big, big things. See,
Yeah.
they've taken the farmland, and I'm in the south end of the county, and turned it into commercial. We're the hub. We're north central Florida. Where right before you'd go off to Orlando or go straight down to Tampa. So in the meantime, that's what I'm doing. Like I said, eventually I would like to write some stories because I have a lot of interesting little tales, seed tales, animals. It's so many different little things that I think would be beneficial even from the youngster to the older adult.
Yes, yes.
I found when working, Mom was number 25 over a 10-year period. I worked with 25 elders who have since passed on.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Mom was the last.
Yes.
I couldn't do no more. That's the end. I'm done. And it's not because I don't care. It's just emotionally draining after a while.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah,
it's a lot of.
You can only
a lot of love.
Yes, a lot of holding hands, a lot of taking them on a journey. Some I took on a 10-year journey through their cancers and through different things. I just wish that more children were able to do what I was able to do. Because it's rewarding on both sides. It makes it easier for the elder. They're more comfortable. And also for me, the child, I didn't have to worry because I knew what was going on. I knew how things were going. Yes. But I was very blessed. She had no comorbidities or medications. So it was one that, as some say, get in my kitchen lab and mix stuff up.
And that is so cool because also, once you know all the things, like, okay, Rosemary does this and Basil does this. And when you put them together, I know this and this happens. And then you try it out and you think, oh, but what if I add this or that or the other? I just love that concept. So you could be growing and creating all sorts of things, right? And doing like cognitive enhancing projects as well.
Yes. That's, as I call it, I'm in some call it a rebirth. I call it more of a new phase, time to move to the next, see what's next.
Yes.
Because there's a need for all the different little things. And any of my vegetables or any of that stuff I have left over, they always go to one of the shelters or feeding spots. We've done that my entire life. Yes. I think back to when my dad used to have the trucks. We had big truck farm. I grew up on close to 4,000 acres of farmland. He managed a ranch, so we had the cattle, we had the hogs. What is now part of the horse park they rented when I was a kid. So we had access there for running hogs and things. And it was when we learned. We learned how to survive. Those that know me say I'll never go hungry because I'll walk around and Say I walk around and eat grass. Well, I probably do, but
Because you know what you can eat, right?
yes. And I still play in the dirt like a little kid. I mean, there's times that I'll be planning stuff or working on stuff, and I'll just sit there and start playing in the dirt. You get that grounding.
It's therapeutic too.
Yes, yes. And it's like hugging a tree. You can feel the energy.
Yes, I love that. That's one of my favorite things to do. Because it actually speaks to you, right? You can feel the energy and you know what's going on. I know it's a beautiful thing. And now I have to ask you, sorry, I have to ask you,
Right.
so how good of a horse rider are you?
I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not a horse person. I raise meat goats. See, we used horses. Well, we had horses, but they were more work horses.
oh, yes, yes.
When I was a young child, there was what they called the open range. You didn't necessarily have fences. So you would go look for your cattle. Everybody went by a brand.
Yes, yes.
Then, as the fences came, that stopped it. And we also had a couple of horses we worked the garden with. Now, the acreage, like usually a field, was at least 50 acres, some of them a couple hundred acres for the truck. But here at the house, we'd use a horse, was our tool. That was our means of operation.
Yes.
We had the tractors, but the horse worked better. And I laugh because I never used a lawnmower till I was in my 30s. Because you always let the cows or the horse in the yard. And then now with the goats, I let the goats in. So I imagine I have a lifestyle that many would like. It has its ups and downs, but I've learned that I look to the good side.
Yes.
There's good in everything. Things can go bad. I was pouting or frustrated last week because we had no oranges this year.
Oh, no.
Well, we had the heat in June. It was 120 degrees. Then we had the wind with a couple of storms, and the whole state suffered with fruit problems.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I looked out there. I have 2 oranges, so I did have a crop.
Exactly. I love it. That's the way you do it. You see, there's always blessings.
You know, there's something good. There's always something good and something bad. What appears bad. I have the 15-minute rule. I can get mad, rant, whatever. The maximum's 15 minutes. That's it. 15 minutes, it's over. And usually by 15 minutes, I'm laughing.
Yes. Right.
What was I thinking?
Or you think like, what was that all about? What was I thinking? Exactly that. Like, what's up with that?
But that's how I see so many people get lost and they can't move forward.
Yes.
When I say move forward, there's nothing perfect.
No.
If we don't make mistakes, we don't learn.
Exactly. And you know what? We as humans have to grow and learn, even if, a lot of people feel stuck. Eventually, if you don't learn and grow, you'll find, or if your life is just too perfect, you'll find something to do, and it might not be so positive. It might be destructive. So you'll see. I mean, I've noticed and spoken to a whole lot of people, and I've noticed how some people, they've got everything. They've got the white picket vest, they've got the cars, the beautiful house, the beautiful partner, whatever, the so-called perfect life, the children, and yet they are alcoholics, drug addicts, and it's like, this isn't what I want. This isn't what it's meant to be. I'm looking for something. I need to find some meaning and purpose in my life and move forward. So That's how it was supposed to be. I don't think our lives were meant to be just like so perfect. We can't live that life
No.
because we'll just destroy it anyway, because we have to move forward. Even if we're stuck, we still have to move forward in some way or another.
Yes. Yes. And that's what it's really amazed me how from May of 22 till now, the people that I've come in contact with that keep coming back. They go, "You're so positive," and I'm like, "Really?" That's just how it's supposed to be, you know. It's if you cry, you cry alone. If you laugh, the world laughs with you.
Yes, yes.
And that's what I tell them. It's like you just got to look and learn.
Yes, yes. I love that. I love that. And also your positive attitude then just makes things like synchronicities come into your life, right? And life just becomes great. I mean, it's not perfect, but who wants perfection anyway? Like perfection is just it's a cop out, right? We search for perfection because we're too afraid to move forward, right? So it's beautiful. And with you in your farm, now you can experiment and try all sorts of new things because there's so much out there that you can experiment with and just create your own. So it's
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yes, and good thing too is a lot of my seed is seed that we've saved through the years. So I guess it would be considered some heirloom.
Yes.
Because I have corn. When I plant corn, that seed I found, we had one of the barns we took down about 10 years ago. Termite problem. Had a 55-gallon drum of corn. And that corn goes back probably to about 1968.
Wow. How good is that corn?
It was not buggy because we had the lid. Dad had the lid on it, made a lid, put a lid on everything. And so I take a scoop each year and plant it. I get some. This year didn't do so well, but that's okay.
Yes, of course.
It's not, it's like we said, not everything happens as we plan. And my mustard seeds, my mustard green seeds this year are probably about 15, 20 years old.
Wow.
One year when my husband was up here, after his Parkinson's diagnosis, it changed his work life.
I'm sure, yeah.
So he would come up here and hang out with my mom in the garden. And I was very fortunate because my parents took him as a son. Treated him equal. There was no biggie that. So it was a good relationship there.
Yes, they counts for a lot.
When I planted my greens this year, all of a sudden I had wild turkeys show up. Then they started nesting. So I had 8 little poults at one time, 8 little baby turkeys.
Wow.
Peacocks showed up. We never had peacocks.
Wow, that is beautiful.
I have a peacock. She lives here, our peahen. I have one that stays here year round. And it's not because I feed. They feed themselves. They go out. Yes, they'll get in the garden. They'll eat stuff, but they have to eat too. That's a big deal. We've encroached on them.
Yes, yes.
They're not encroaching on me. And that's part of the reason out of the 19, 9 acres is considered private forest land. It's had absolutely, well, I do a fire lane, which we need to every year. But other than that, that's the only mechanical or actually anything that's been done to it. So it's all natural.
Wow, that is beautiful.
So I have, the wildlife has a place to live. Yes, there's bobcats, there's coyotes that come through, the possums, the raccoons, the hawks, owls. I mean, it's just, there's times that even though it's a county road in front that's quite busy, probably about 200 cars an hour goes past, where I'm sitting with the trees across the front, it blocks it out.
Oh, yes.
I have my own little habitat back here, and so I can separate, and the animals know it. It's their safety zone. And next to me is like 368 acres they run cows on, and then I have another 50 on the other sides that's vacant. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of in the zone of no man's land or whatever. that was I had considered possibly doing like retreats, come out for a day.
Yes,
I
yes.
got to thinking, what am I doing to the wildlife?
Mm, mm, mm.
What am I doing to their habitat? I have the last trees in probably a 5 square mile area. And in a rut.
Sure.
So it's like, yes, they have the Florida Trail, but it's paved. They have a paved walking trail. They have the horse trails, the bike trails, the running, the walking, all the different little trails. Well, they're being disturbed there.
Yes.
Really don't have a place. So that was one of the reasons that I decided to go more with the food line, to stick with it. And go from there, and then do possibly, if people want to learn how to grow easily, naturally, because we haven't used any chemicals on this ground in over 50 years.
Oh wow, that is truly organic. That is beautiful, really. Truly organic. Your fruit and your vegetables must taste so sweet.
They're very different than store-bought.
I'm sure.
And it's one that you're at the mercy of the universe. Like
Yes.
this year, it's like, hey, one a good year. So it's like, next year be better, maybe not. Don't know, but we'll keep going. It's not going to stop. There's always something. I do the shampoo ginger, which is a red cone ginger. About 2 months out of the year, you can get the oil out of them, and it's like a hair conditioner. The ones that get it from me locally, see, I don't process it. I just get the juice, strain it, put it in a container.
Wow.
So it has a shelf life for about 2 weeks, because I don't want to go through the chemical processing.
Yes.
And I have a ton of those kind of little things that I have going on, And then the Florida beautyberry, which is considered a weed, but now that one I do process into jelly and jam. Well, more jelly and syrup.
Oh, nice.
And then I have a hive of bees, wild bees.
Wow. That must be very interesting. So you go and do you make your own honey?
Yes, they do. I get about a quarter year. I don't sell it, but they are pollinating everything.
Yes.
My fertilizer is the goats and the chickens and the wildlife.
That's perfect. That's exactly perfect organic, beautiful organic fruits and vegetables and things that you
Clean.
So you must be so healthy, Susan.
Well, so far so good. Let's see. I guess I was 25 really the last time I was sick, and I'm going on 68.
Yes.
And Mom made it to 97.
Yes, of course. It's all about what we put in our bodies, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I look at the difference. I have cousins that, well, that was our first friends. Didn't have neighbors. They were 10 miles away. They're a couple years younger, but I look at their health. Their health is terrible.
Yeah.
They have all kinds of stuff. And I'm thinking, your grandmother and my father were brother and sister. They were raised in the same household. Now, why was his health good and his sister's health bad?
Hmm.
Well, when I go back and look at diet, and this was something as children, we were, parents make them little comments. Oh, that's going to get them. That's not good for them. They're going to regret eating like that one day. Well, it is true. It is true. And always being a picky eater, I'm a grazer.
Oh,
See,
yes.
I've always been a grazer. I get my share of dirt. Because if I'm outside and there's a turnip or something, or radish I want, I'll pick it up, knock the dirt off of it, wipe it with my shirt, and mow down. That's just me. I've always been that way. And I do the same with the grapes. I eat the wild grapes and the cultivated grapes, the figs, the persimmon.
Oh, yes. That's the way to eat, to live. I think just walk through your garden and just pick this beautiful fruit off and or vegetables just off the tree or off the vine or off from the ground. That is the ultimate health. And of course, then you're also walking, so you're getting in your exercise and you're getting in the beautiful sun. What's
Yes.
better than that? You have
Yes.
it all.
Yes. But it took years to realize it.
Well, sometimes it does, but it's okay.
Yeah. I look at it this way: the first 20 years of our life, or maybe a little bit more, is an experimentation. Where do I want to go? And then the slap comes and it's like, okay, not so bad. And then it took me a while, even after getting in Mark's group, to realize I had a lifeboat business and didn't even realize it. It's like I'm doing this commercial agriculture because it's what I have, it requires, that's what's required of the property.
Yeah, yeah.
And one day it's like, why are you trying to figure out what to do? You're already doing it.
It's funny, right? We don't realize.
I mean, I'm throwing out, I shouldn't say throwing out, but I'm selling 40 meat goats a year going, what can I do for a business?
It's like a typical human, right? It's right in front of you, but you don't see it, right? Until you're ready. Until you're ready. So, what made you realize that you were actually doing what you were doing for business, and you were in business anyway?
It was just one of those days I woke up and went, wow, what's wrong with you? And I think part of it, where my mindset came from, partly I grew up with it. It was everyday action. It was just almost automated.
Yes.
Get up, go check the chickens, feed the animals, do whatever, boom, 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 then go to another job.
Yes.
Well, even whenever I was away for the 35, 40 years, it still was one that I never had just one job.
Yes.
I would have 4 or 5 things going on. That's how I could have so many different career angles at one time.
Yes, of course. Yes.
I could be in the for-profit world this hour, and the next hour the non-for-profit world. I could put on the politician hat, or I could become the fisherman. It didn't matter. Just whatever. But it was just, I woke up one day. It just kind of slapped me in the face, like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why are you trying? As I say, we make a mountain out of a molehill when it's really just a speck of dust.
Exactly that. Yes, yes,
And
yes.
once you realize it's a speck of dust, it just all falls into place. And that's what woke me up, I guess.
I love it, and I love that whole concept because that's exactly what it is. We're so busy in our heads and thinking and stressing and or whatever we do, and we don't realize that the answers are there right in front of us, like I said before. And the universe is screaming, showing us all these signs and synchronicities, and we're going like, "What am I supposed to do?" And so like going, "What are you doing? Look, open your eyes! Come on! There's only so much I can do." It's always reminds me of the story of the man who's it's flooding, who's sitting on top of the house, right? And the
Oh,
flood water's coming up and up and up, and a boat comes along and says, "Hey, come, jump on the bus and on the boat so we can save you." He says, "No, I'm waiting for God." And then the helicopter comes and throws a rope, and he says, "Come, I'll save you." "No, I'm waiting for God." And eventually he drowns. And when he gets to heaven, like whatever it be, I'm just,
right.
whatever it means to you, God says, he says, "But God, why weren't you there to save me?" He says, "Come on. I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. I sent you whatever it is. Why didn't you just take it? What are you doing here?" And I think we do that so often.
We do. We do. We want to make so much out of nothing.
Yes.
Just it amazes me. But yes, I must say, to me, I live a good life. I couldn't ask for anything more. It's I've got what I need. And what do we really need? Be happy.
Yes, yes, that's all it is. Just be happy and just love the moment right now and just enjoy everything around you. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And if you take that advice, you realize how beautiful your life just pans out and you're happy and things just work, right?
Yes.
They just work. Wow, that's beautiful. So what's in the future for Susan?
Well, as I said, I want to do some writing. I'm working on some new crops. The trees that fell this year in the windstorm, they're going to be my new basis. I'm going to try to do some mushrooms in the spring.
Ah,
I
that's
tried some,
exciting.
yes, I tried some in May. They did good. The temperature got 120
So what
degrees.
kind of mushrooms what kind of mushrooms?
I did buttons and coreops.
Nice.
And I'm going to do some ginseng. My husband told me years ago to do ginseng, and I was
Ah,
hard
ginseng. I love ginseng. Yes.
a lot of things that when I was on the hot seat and I was seeking kind of direction, yeah, I got kind of backburnered for a few months, but that's okay. It
That's
gave
okay.
me time to research.
Yes, yes, yes.
I mean,
The lion's mane?
well, that's something I'm looking into. There is already, I talked to a local health food store, I guess is the way to put it. I'm not quite sure what they call it, but he does his fresh vegetables, and he has somebody that provides him with lion's mane now. So it's one, I'm not sure that's a goal, but it's another one of those, another learning curve. But that's okay, because that's what makes it exciting to see
Yes, yes.
what I can come across.
And what you can use then. Because I mean, lion's mane is like beautiful. I love lion's mane because it really works so well. And it really does lift up the brain fog. It
Yes, I
really
used it
does.
with mom. I used it with my mom. That's what I mean. We used all natural stuff.
Ah, beautiful. And ginseng is like also one of my favorites because it's just that it's almost like a panacea, right?
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful. It's very exciting.
The only thing that I've kind of held back, I was looking at truffles, but I'm not sure if I want to go that route because it's 10 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't
You
realize.
can get the inoculated stalk tree, um, but it takes about 10 years.
That's why they charge so much for it. That's why it's such a commodity. I didn't realize.
And the truffles that grow here are bitter.
Oh, because
I think,
obviously because of the weather.
yeah, I think the goats eat them because I find them pawing around some of the bases of the trees. They're eating something out there. They don't always share with me what they're eating. Because, see, I use even with the animals, they eat the same like I do. They eat a pretty clean diet. If I don't eat a clean diet, I get sick. When I
Yes.
sick, it may not be to the extreme some would consider, but if I feel bad, I'm sick.
Yes. I agree with you.
So I don't even use commercial wormers on the chickens or the goats. They have herbs or blackberry leaves because I can grow a lot of blackberries in the sand. So they have a natural process.
Ah,
They go through instead of anything low in the weeds. I let the goats and the chickens take care of. The chickens will till for me because they're gonna get out there and scratch everything, and then they also fertilize the area, so that makes it even better.
exactly how nature intended, right?
Yes. So it's uh, as I said, I'd like to do a little writing. That's something I've got little stuff all along that I've through the years, different little pieces that when I was writing training programs and stuff, I wrote disaster plans for a few years and marine training programs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a little bit of knowledge there. I don't want to get back. I shouldn't say that. I do not plan. You never say never because when you
Never, right. Right.
uh, I kind of want to. I'm at the point of low key. When I say low key, I had the opportunity in the late 80s, 90s, early 2000s of living in Central America.
Oh, nice.
So the same thing. I don't know. I'm a leader. I'm a caregiver. What can I say? Uh, I helped some of them and they helped me with the learning process of growing as well as sewing as well as the different pieces. So I would like to do a combined kind of like a clearinghouse, similar I guess to a Weston price list of different products. I have communications with people and know people around the world from my work through the years. And they have something, I'm going to use one example is a family in Jamaica that raises aloe and processes aloe,
Nice.
the pure aloe for skincare.
Yes.
Well, they were having a problem getting it out, you know, when I say getting it out, not really advertising, well, it would be of making it available without all the extended budgets and so on and so forth. And it kind of got me thinking, well, if I've got this stuff, and as I take like a tree limb, if it's the right size, I'll turn it into a walking stick.
Yes.
Sand it down, drill a hole, put a piece of leather in it, you got a walking stick. They have that product. What if the people down, say some of the Mayans in the avocado groves, I know. They've got the avocados. Well, if you're there in that area and you need to know, well, access and okay, contact this person about this. which I guess is kind of on the lines of affiliate marketing.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because I see that more than me being able to get my product out worldwide, because I don't have enough area to do that.
Wow, so many things. One more thing before we go, because I can speak to you the whole day, but I just want to ask you, Susan, have you found freedom?
I think so. I think so. It's I'll have, as I say, my ups and downs, but my downs are very short time. Very short time. It's kind of ingrained in me by now that this too shall pass.
Yes.
Like I said, I can make a mountain out of a molehill, and then in 15 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer, but most time 15 minutes or less, it's a speck of dust. I've been able to pull myself away from the different things. Some people say, how is it you've got to be depressed because you have no family? No, I'm not depressed. I don't have any offspring. I don't have any living family. I've got a few cousins, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I've been afforded a gift that takes care of it. I can't, to me, that's wallowing in my sorrows.
Exactly. Where does that take you? Nowhere.
It's move onward. It's I can't be bothered with the little things. Like, to me, that's a little thing.
Yes.
It's a very little thing. You've got to just pick it up and keep going.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Susan. Before we go, where can people find you?
Well, right now I'm just on Facebook. That's it. I don't do, when I get things going more, I will be setting up a website and things. But I'm getting going, and with what you had going on with this podcast and stuff, I thought I'd like to share with you because it might be helpful to somebody.
Yes, it's beautiful. This has been a wonderful conversation, and we'll have to have a follow up, right? Because there's just so much, and just speaking and speaking. Before you know it, the hour's on. We've spoken for an hour, and it's like, okay, I suppose I'll have to end this at some point. So we'll have a follow up on this, and we will have the link to the Facebook page. So reach out to Susan if you have some ideas, or just reach out to Susan because she's so awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Susan. It's been like such an honor and a pleasure to have you here. I've just loved this conversation. And as you're speaking, my mind's coming up with so many ideas, just thinking like, oh, we could do this, we could do this. So anyway, we'll chat later. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for everything. And thank you, Susan, again. We will see you all next week, of course, on Break Fear, Find Freedom, and have a beautiful day. Thank you, Susan. Enjoy Florida. Bye for everyone. Bye for now.